Dr. Tara Harding in the house. Welcome to the show. Hey, everybody. Not only are we going to have a doctor who's just phenomenal, and I don't have a doctorate, she's a badass, so we're going to get into that, but how her practice has come full circle, as we do now, a book she has written, and we're going to dive into women's health because guess what? We care mostly about women and minorities, and that's what it is about. So without further ado, Tara, welcome to the show. Very excited, and I'm glad the weather is better for us both as we speak today.
Yes, a little bit of sunshine is all somebody needs on these hard days when we're trying to get through the grind.
Absolutely. Well, let's start with your story, right? Everyone listening wants to know who the hell why is he so excited? Who the hell is this?
Who's this small town girl? What is going on here?
Lay it out to everybody.
Lay it out. I was born and raised in a town of 800 people. Fun fact. Let's go back that far. And my career as a doctorate nurse practitioner was actually serving and going back and moving back to that rural community and serving as a nurse practitioner doing ER, hospital, clinic. Like there was no MD. We were strictly run on nurse practitioners. It was super rewarding, but it became super exhausting at the same time too. And they're asking you questions about their medication refills or the grocery store. And it's a blessing to have been able to do that. But I went through my own personal health experience in the middle of living there, working there, and serving there, of infertility, endometriosis, and just a whole swoon of things. And I knew my career needed to pivot after going through what I did. And it began with the infertility piece, and I started a nonprofit, the first and only infertility nonprofit in North Dakota in 2019. And a year later started as an infertility coach. And I air quote that because it was such like a new thing. And there was like the interior designer was doing it, and like they were a bank teller and they were a fertility coach. And I was like, wait a minute, like I have a medical degree. How can just anybody do that? You know, I just really wanted to give back in a different way. So I jumped into that career. And about 6 months later, which would have been in 2022, I started working out of my basement in the town of 800 people, doing telemedicine and virtual visits as a clinician. And I strictly focused on women's health and infertility, and it grew from there. But I was soon met with divorce and just all of these other personal aspects of my story, which I'm always happy to share about. But I realized that I needed to be done with one chapter and move into the other, but I was going to do it in my time and in my way. And I was going to do part-time, you know, I can still serve the community part-time. And I put in my letter to them asking for that. And they were like, actually, we don't need you no more. We're going to mark you as needed and we'll call you when we need you. So I went from a 6-figure total comfort, you know, I can do both, burn the midnight oil on the evenings and weekends and just, you know, do it all, to, oh my gosh, what am I going to do financially? I'm the primary income maker of the family. 6 months later, my husband at the time asked for a divorce. Unexpected, but expected is how I word that. And I was in social services parking lot with a packet in my hand going, how do I pay for everything and, you know, support my son at the time and do this and be an entrepreneur? And it was shortly after that I realized that people quit their 6-figure jobs to go be an entrepreneur. And I was going to take that packet, I filled it out, and I was going to put it off to the side for 3 months. And if in 90 days I was not doing well with my business, I would turn that packet in and go down that road. But today, as of today, so it was 2022, I am up to 10 providers in my clinic. We are an in-person practice. We are serving 4 states via telemedicine and growing. We're pediatrics, mental health, men's health, hormones, infertility. We are everything now, a full scope private practice clinic. And I still kept that packet somewhere. It's somewhere in a box, just to kind of the reminder of the hardship and the hard times. And, you know, there's a plan to a plan to a plan if you need it.
Yeah. And I'm sure you have spoken to and know a lot of women went through something similar to you, right? It's never the same, but right. Similar set of circumstances, and maybe aren't making it out the way that you have. And you, I would assume you're probably at rock bottom, or you thought was rock bottom. Talk to us about like the emotional, you know, I guess, trauma and roller coaster you went through, because you went from six figures to, obviously kids, six figures, divorce,
Yeah.
is now successful. And that is not a long window of time either. We're not talking decades, right? That is a
Right.
very short window. Talk us through like the emotional things and things you had to know and recognize internally while you were going through that journey.
Yeah, I did a lot of self-reflection because I was putting my value in a paycheck and in a marriage that had been crumbling for years. But the piece that I remember the most was the choice. Like, I remember that rock bottom. I literally, and I know many women have done, like, when you're literally on your hands and knees crying and screaming and like, what am I going to do in that moment? There's sometimes thoughts of like, I'm never going to get out of this. Like this, and that was my hometown. If you would have literally, I mean, like, I know everything about everybody in that town, born and raised. Mom and dad went to high school with them. I literally used to say, never in a million years would I lose this job. I'll be the one to determine when I'm done here. Like, I literally used to say that, and it happened. So I also now look at things like a little more cautiously too, of just be open. Like, don't put so much value in my timing or my expectations of things too. Just be open to what, I don't know if I ever would have left that job, and would I have been able to give this entrepreneurship all that it needed to take off if I would have been dipping my toes into that. And then with relationships too, a lot of my ability to grow was hindered by that marriage I was in at that time. He didn't understand. I remember him saying, I don't understand why you have to save the world. Why can't you just go to work 9 to 5? So a lot of our worth and ability is coming from other voices sometimes too, right? Like, it might be your spouse, your partner, your friend, your coworker, your parents, your culture, the way you were raised. Like, I was raised like grind, and you have to work hard to make all of this money. And I'm still to this day working on flipping that switch. I can't wait till I can make, oh, it's a 4-hour work week. Like, I'm like, I joke today, I'm like, can I get to a 4-hour work day? Like, a 4-hour work day would be great. Like, but like, the culture that you were raised really does actually impact that too. So I remember a friend told me, Tara, I really think when you're done with this marriage, you're going to bloom. And it literally happened. It just was like a sign of who I surround myself with. I've lost friendships from kindergarten through this growth. That's been really hard too. Like, there's one that I still struggle with. I don't know why I keep trying to reach out to her and say happy birthday when this is like my best friend up until 2 years ago. Like, when this growth happened, gone. So there's a lot of things I didn't know were going to happen that are normal. The more I kind of talk to entrepreneurs, this stuff happens. Marriages, relationships, friendships dissolve, coworkers become jealous or envious too, and will even say things to try to hold you back too. And I wish I would have known that, so I kind of could have prepared a little bit more instead of being rock bottom on the side of the bed, screaming, kicking. My relationship with my parents, so they lived in that small town at the time too of the divorce, and that rocked their world in a way. I'm like, okay, like, what's the community going to think? Was literally the words out of my mom's mouth. And I was just like, what? Like, do you think I give a crap about what? Like I knew that marriage was over for many years, but we never really talked about it or said the word divorce. It was put Hayden down for a nap at 2 p.m., come out. He says, do you have time to talk? I say, yeah, what's up? He goes, I'm done. I'm like, oh, with what? He's like, us. And I'm like, what? Like, it was like, what did you just, like, this is how you're doing it on the Sunday after Thanksgiving? Like, I have to go to a town 3 hours away and do a news interview on my business I'm growing tomorrow. Like, what is happening? And so it was just like, even when you know something should end, whether it's a job or a relationship, I just like to validate it. It's really hard. And especially when it's not on your terms. Like, there's a lot of things that are not on our terms. And so I've really tried to just like let go of timelines in life too. But I just validate and acknowledge how hard it is. I've been there. And even though my turnaround time was shorter, that was a decision I made. And it was a lot of working on myself. I called it the year of Tara. And I really deep dived into mental health, hypnosis, I found. I got a business coach. I did some actionable steps, even if it meant putting it on the credit card and doing some credit card debt for a while just to make that piece of it work. But I had some plans in place. I had that packet ready to fill out. Like I kind of had some safeguards in place to breathe and have some oxygen for 90 days. And I was going to make some decisions at that mark. So put some timelines in place too, when those hard times are there. Realize, let the feelings move through you, feel them, but don't let them stick too long, because that's when the icky long-term mental health stuff kind of builds and builds and builds. And put some support systems in place too if you're in those hard spots.
And understand, one, you're not alone in your situation. There's many out there. And also no one has their shit together as a business.
No, nobody. Like,
has it.
Why did I not know that either? Like, the more I'm in networking groups and all these other, resources, I'm like, you're just like me. Okay. Like I'm not on an island, actually. There's not actually an island. It's a city.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what's amazing about entrepreneurship in general when you start to network. And it doesn't matter what industry, by the way.
Right.
You're gonna have the same conversations. And that's when you start to understand what I call like the true definition of community. Community is not exactly where you live. It's that support system around you. The ones that when you are going to transition in something different in your life that are supporting you and pulling you through that, not trying to pull you down. That is the difference of community. Community is really there to support you and be your team and be your closest ones to help you. And that's why entrepreneurs can't speak anymore, come together, and they all come together, and really we bitch the most. We just like, I got this going on, this happened. Really? That just happened to me. This is what I did. Oh, okay. And so that's where it comes together. So those listening that are entrepreneurs and you feel like you're alone, or even if you're going through some things, one, you're not, figure out who your actual community is. And guess what? You are going to lose friendships, family, any of that will drop off, and it is very natural and is very healthy for you as well.
100%. Yes. So much yes to that.
So let's talk about the root of your business, right? So telehealth has been around for technically a while. However, it really wasn't that popular.
Yeah.
And is, I believe, now even growing more, and there's a lot more to go. Can you talk to everyone out there and kind of go cut through the misnomers of telehealth and where the importance lies now, specifically what's going on in our country with all the things that we have, why telehealth is so important?
Yeah, I kind of like to say one of the only good things that come out of the C word, which I don't even like to say it fully, was telemedicine reimbursement. So for a provider, I was able to grow my business and be reimbursed the same as if you were in the clinic. That is pivoting and changing some now. But what I saw happen and why I think it really grew was women were having a medical visit with another female. And not that that matters, but it was in the evening, or it was on a weekend, or it was in the workday, but it was in their environment, their setting. They'd be in their closet. They'd be laying in their bed. They'd be sitting on their comfy couch with their blanket on their lap. And what that did was provide a comfortable setting for them to really open up. My first time meeting with them, I felt like I knew more about them than their provider, who has probably seen them for 10 years, did. And I set that intention and I set that safe space. And I always do that with every visit. I'm very big on training my staff to do that. We always say you're in a safe space. There's no judgment here. With medical gaslighting, we have to really break down some barriers and be like, I just want you to know that no matter what, I'm not going to judge you. There's nothing silly, no question silly, nothing you're going to ask, bring up, or say to me is silly or off limits. I want to hear it all. If you saw something online, I want to hear it. So we really kind of set that intention right away too. But what it did was also, and what it still does, is allow access to different or higher levels of medical care, or something that's different than what might be in their actual physical community or setting, and allows them to see somebody outside that fits their needs or their desires or their style or their preference better too, or provides, what we always try to tell patients is create a team. Like, don't have just one person working on your health, thinking if one person thinks they know it all about what's going on with your health, that's like dangerous stuff right there. Or they start like, oh my gosh, chiropractor and PT, that doesn't work. If they start nagging on like who you have on your team, not okay. And so what it does by doing telemedicine too is allow you to have a bigger healthcare team in different areas of the country, of the world, and doesn't restrict or limit your access to the choice of medical care that is you get to pick. You get to pick who you want, and where you live and where they live no longer matters. And so it just kind of opens up that door too for that.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It changed our industry too when we talk about financial planning and stuff for that exact same reason.
Yep.
And that's why I know you're huge on TikTok and things like that, is we get to bring our personality out and people are attracted to us, as opposed to like, just because we're around the corner, I need to talk about this. So
Yep.
here you are.
Exactly.
And it just allows truer, deeper relationships, in my opinion. And a lot of people are like, well, you need to be face to face and like handshake. Yeah, I get that. That's important. Trust me. Yeah. Physical touch to humans is huge.
Great.
But if I could go reach out to you, who we speak the same language, and we're on the same page, that means more than the person I can go down and shake hands with. It does. So
exactly.
I love that for you. What are you doing to expand that so that more people are understanding of it and utilizing telehealth? Because I truly don't believe it's being used to its capacity at this point.
Yeah, it's not. One thing I'm doing is getting my provider's license in multiple states. So it's so silly too. Like if you put the word, like when I'm acting in my coaching hat, I can step outside and, there's certain things I can do and can't do with that. But there's a lot of these like bigger companies popping up too that are providing some telehealth services, which is great, but just making sure that my staff is licensed and credentialed appropriately too. But when we can step into the coaching space too, we can serve even more patients as well with that. In a more intimate setting. Because I always say to patients, think of how much time of your, typical standard medical appointment, how much of that is hands-on, really. Most of it's talking or them reading your stuff beforehand anyway. So unless you have something serious or critical going on, having a telemedicine visit, we can get more accomplished too, because it's more talk time and it's really focused and honed in. There's none of this like outside people involved. There's no front desk receptionist. There's no, nurse or CMA taking your vitals. It's just me and you during that solid time, being able to connect as well. There's no one asking you other questions. It's just me and you kind of as well. But because there's other companies too, you're able to get all sorts of different services. Like you said, yours is even like that too, that you maybe didn't even have access to. Rural or underserved areas wouldn't have had access to individuals before, prior to this in any area, other than who is in the back door down the block from them too. So it's really just increasing. I hope it's increasing the quality of care and access to healthcare overall in all the different areas.
Has that conversation shifted now that women's rights being attacked in our country politically, right? The geopolitics right now are absolutely insane.
So confused.
Everyone asks me what's going to go on in the stock market. I'm like, we're going to get hit because I don't know what's going on. No one knows what's going on. But specifically when it comes to women's rights and being attacked from that perspective, what are you doing to highlight that more? Because to me, that probably means they're less clinical and more coaching, I would assume.
Yeah.
So they can get around some of that. What are you doing to approach that more? And what are some things that you got working on to help with that?
Yeah. So one thing that personally I try to do is like make all the social media. I'm getting back into that. I kind of had to hit pause on making all the fun social media stuff for a while, but it's like talking about it and breaking those barriers down at that level too. So the nonprofit is where I do more of that work. So since 2019, I've been trying to get local state legislation to pass insurance access to make it mandatory to pay for infertility care and fertility preservation for cancer patients. Like, it's just wild that it's 2025 and this isn't done. And so I'm just always hopeful that things move at the federal level, because then states don't have to do these grassroots painful processes to have this happen. And I hate to even bring this up, but I'll bring it up. But like, every year since 2019, I've been making strides, and I feel other states have too. And we did not pass it this year. We got close again. But then in North Dakota, and I have it on my social, this lady stands up, and a female legislator of all people, and starts spewing disgusting words out of her mouth that infertility is God's way of saying, God's condemning women, and how if we would just, pray more and confess our sins, we would not be infertile. And I'm just like, I don't care what side of where your religion line is. We can't be spewing that stuff on a legislative floor in 2025. I mean, so what did I do? So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to take this reel. I'm going to turn it into real, because North Dakotans need to know that this is what's going on inside their Capitol building. This is not okay on any level, on any side. And then what I did is I took it a step further and I was like, here's what you can do if you think what she did was wrong. And I really started to educate and say, step one, use this email and email the ethics committee at the state and turn her in. Just simply fill out their form and turn her in if you feel what she did was wrong ethically. So long and short of that whole situation, what I'm trying to do is educate and raise awareness of like what is going on inside your state capitol building when it comes to women's rights. There was a bill that would have made IVF illegal in North Dakota, that would have made access to miscarriage care damaging for women in North Dakota. And it took a lot of, social media posts and constant stories to and trying to get the media and the news there to bring awareness that this is happening in our own back door. And if you actually don't speak up, whether you have kids or not, your kids, your niece, your nephew, your cousin, your coworkers' kids are going to be impacted by this. This can't be happening. Women need to have rights to medical care, like should something happen. And so it was really, I saw a huge increase in written testimony come through. So it was inspiring to see that. We filled up the room when we did our infertility bill. The room was packed, standing room only. So I had to step back this year and be like, maybe it wasn't about passing the bill, but it was about educating on what goes on in there and what you can do if you don't think it's right. Like, get out and vote. That's one thing that we've heard forever. Like, that should just be a duh at this point. But like, here's why, because these people slip through the doors and get elected in, and this is what they're voting on. Here's how they vote. I said, here's a picture of the screen on how your legislators voted on these issues. Take a screenshot of this, save it in your photos so you know when re-election comes up for these things, whatever side you're on, here's how they voted on this issue that matters to you most, and have a conversation with them. Here's how to write them. I made templates. I try to just make it as easy as possible for the neighbors, the coworkers, the mom, the dad, the grandparents, anybody to use their voice, whether it was in person, oral, email, phone calls, whatever. I try to just make it as easy as possible and educate and just know that I did the best I can. And when I saw that room full and there was nursing students there, because it was like Nurses Day at the Capitol, and when we made the major media platforms and the room was filled with news people, I was like, this is more than just passing a bill. This is about awareness. And then I'm a little spicy and like, I'm not going to let people get by with bad behavior. Like, I'm going to call you out. And I made a couple reels and they blew up, and one individual, they weren't happy about it, but I don't care. Do better. When you're an elected official, you have a higher platform, higher standard that you're held to. So then it's like a week later, it comes federally for infertility and other women's health stuff, right? Like that there's going to be big movements on that. So we'll sit tight for the next 90 days and see where that is. But overall message is your voice actually matters. Like, I know people don't think that their vote or their voice matters, and it really actually does. Even if it's at your district level, your state level, nowadays, that matters a lot, because a lot of what's happening on the federal level is actually happening in your own back door. And that's probably everything beyond medical too. But we see that a lot in the women's health space and the infertility space. It's a lot of the same things happening across every state and federally too.
Yeah. And I think to simplify what you had said is, we used to be reactive, meaning like, to me, voting is reactive. That's terrible. Next time I'll vote correctly. I think what you're talking about is being proactive for once. And I truly believe since 2020, we're getting really a lot better at being proactive to these things. And I think that's what the difference is. And I love that you're doing that. And now you just inspired me. I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah.
And poof, but I'm going to.
Yeah, it's hard. And the thing I've seen since 2019 is bipartisan support. And I think that's just huge. Like, when my fertility bill is both sides, young and old men, young and old women, like, it was so cool, because what happened, of course, in 7 years, well, some of these legislators had children and grandchildren go through infertility. And I've said that from day one, like, you will be impacted by this. It was 1 in 8, it's 1 in 6, miscarriage is 1 in 4. That's a lot of around you-ness people here, And so they saw it happen to them and they signed on, or their opinions changed on it. And again, I think we're talking about it more in the media and on other levels too, which is just amazing. I have to sometimes sit back and just like, Tara, do you remember when you would not tell your 6 coworkers that you worked with back in 2017, what you were going through 2016, like people don't believe that because I'm such a loudmouth about stuff now, but I didn't tell them. There was zip, zap, 6 people didn't even know what I was going through at the time, including a miscarriage. So I think we know it takes time to talk about hard stuff, but now more than ever, it's so important to be talking about that hard stuff too, even if it's just to one person or, your small group around you.
Absolutely. Talk, just speak, especially about money too, peeps.
Yes.
Please talk. The more we talk, the quicker you can heal. Let's talk about your book.
Yeah.
I haven't read a book yet. Everyone's telling me you better read a book. Fine, I will at some point. I promise people. But
it's easier than you need to make it. I made it way too hard. You can make this easy.
I'm just like you. So how about you write it for me? There you go.
Have a ghostwriter. Go to Reedsy. Like shout out to that or whatever that company is. Like they got cool stuff on there. You can have people help you with everything. I wish I would have known that before I invested poorly in my decision.
Well, talk to us about your book.
Yeah. So what's funny about that is I originally had started this book writing journey when I was actually going through infertility. And then life happened. Like I didn't have time to write a book going through a divorce and being rock bottom financially, physically, emotionally, mentally. So it kind of got put on hold. Grew my business, and about a year and a half into that, I was like, okay, I want to do this again. But like my storylines kind of changed. And like I wasn't in it for money. And I soon learned that this is more of just a tool to help others. This book isn't going to make me wads of money. And I want it to just get my voice out there in a different way. And so I had to like go against the editor at the time. Again, lots of money that didn't need to be spent. Would not recommend the route I went. Happy to share that on the side with anybody, but would not recommend that. I just write my words down and not let outside people, again, influence what I wanted that book to be. And even if it was a little bit spicy. So it's about medical gaslighting, specifically to women's health, and how we're met with, women are diagnosed with cancer 4 years later than men. Women receive 25% less pain meds in the ER or the hospital than men. Lots of gaslighting going on in the women's space. 8 out of 10 women were met with, when they went in for physical symptoms, they were met with, must be anxiety or depression and a mental health referral for physical symptoms and concerns. And so there was this data that was kind of presented to me too. And I saw it every day, every visit in my office to this day. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. This is even happening like locally at this level, Tara. Like you got to do something about it. And so I turned this book into my story. This is the beginning half of it, of course, but like some tools and some script even for women to utilize when they are met with this resistance from their healthcare provider, walking them through how to build a team and what medical gaslighting is. Like, what the heck is that word even? Like, what does it look like? If you've been met with resistance, if you're like, I just don't feel good, I'm fatigued, I'm losing my hair, I'm gaining weight for no reason. Like, well, your labs are normal, I don't know, here's your SSRI. Like, that's medical gaslighting. Yeah. If they're offering more tests, outside opinions, or if you've started something that they've presented with you as a treatment plan and it's not working and they're like, there's nothing else you can do, or they pin it off as something else, I walk them through that in the book. And then some self-care tips and things too. I know it sounds like so like bleh, but it's like things I did and things that I found to be useful, whether you live in a town of 800 people or you live in a town of 8 million people. I feel like you can do some of those things in there. And I tried to put some action steps at the end of every chapter. Like, here's what you can do after reading this chapter too. So I wanted it to just be the cover itself. I had a little bit different view on that too, but it was like, it's bandages. And in fact, here, let me show you if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right here. It's the common statements that women hear all the time when they go in, like it's just anxiety or, it's all in your head, just lose weight, like weight loss too. A lot of things are like, if you just lose weight or if you just gain weight, sure, the woman's too small, then she's too big, or it's normal for your age. When the reality is a lot of research and data has changed to perimenopause and menopause. And there's a lot of things you can do that are safe and effective that women aren't even being told about or given as an option. So what telemedicine does too is just give you options. But I just wanted to help women overcome the medical gaslighting and let them know, hey, you're not, like they come in like, I'm crazy. You're not actually crazy. Your symptoms are real. They are real. You just have to find the right team. Just because they think nothing's wrong or they said this is normal doesn't mean it is. It just means they're not the right fit for you at this time anymore. And so just kind of working through how to like break up or go to a different provider. Because some of these people have been with them for 10, 15, 20 years. I sure don't wear the same shoes I wore 20 years ago, so we outgrow people too, just like we outgrow houses and cars and shoes. We outgrow our medical team too, and that's okay. So just to kind of provide it's okay to outgrow that too, or you can go back to them and create some normalization around that too.
We're definitely in a time period where I don't want to say we lack loyalty, because that's not it. We are loyal, but the thing is, we don't need to be with someone, company, person for 30 years.
No.
We all have different types and parts of our life that we grow. And I think that's really what is different about today's society, is the fact that we can do that.
Yes.
So I love the fact that, we're going to have your book in the description. So everyone listening, it'll be in there. Don't worry about it. Is to write something like that to help that perspective and give
just normalize that
to know it's okay.
Absolutely. Yep.
So as we wrap up, we always ask 2 questions. Okay. They can be kind of deep.
Okay.
But you've already opened up to me, so we're ready. Okay. First one is, what is your first money memory?
Gosh, I almost could see the picture in my head as you did that. Of course, small town girl. So I was a babysitter, right? I was the local babysitter, and I did not like it either. But I bought a pair of Doc Martens. I saved months of Saturday night babysitting to buy those Doc Martens. I should have kept them. They are legit, I swear, back in style now. I was like, okay, those are the shoes I saved. My first money. Honestly, that I will confess this, because I think I should normalize. It's I don't know how to balance a checkbook. Balancing a checkbook was something that I struggled with. So there's also the good memory, and there's kind of that anxious memory too of I didn't even know how to balance that checkbooks, balancing money and that kind of anxiety that went along with it too.
So now, and I'm going to tie a lot of full circles in. So everyone, I'm going to say full circle a lot. As we tie into those memories full circle to today, how do those affect you, or have you seen those 2 memories affect you currently?
Oh, for sure. I have had to do a lot of work. I still am doing a lot of work around looking at my checking account, knowing and where every charge is coming from and going, because it's easy just to be oh yeah, I kind of know sort of what's going on over here, but it goes back to that anxiety and not being taught, right? Money literacy is huge. And I didn't have that growing up in a small town of 800 people. My school is actually amazing, but that just wasn't something that was taught then. And then another money memory came along. What we did in our town a lot was we had to work concession stands. And I joke to this day, if I had to count money back to you, I couldn't do it, but I can do CPR, put a chest tube in you if you're in a car accident. I can't count it's not wired that way. Yeah. So it has totally transferred over into my workplace too. And that big fear of what am I going to do when I got divorced? He wasn't even the main money maker, right? I was. So there was a lot of old, fear and money driven, or again, how you were raised and what you were brought up around. You think that impacts you, or how you have to be, or what you have to do, and really focusing and saying, actually, there's other ways to do things. There's different ways to do things than how I was raised, what I was taught. And I literally just said the other day, I don't know if I had to count money back to somebody, I don't think I could do it. That sounds so silly and stupid, but I joke about it now because it's true. If you're don't throw a quarter, if it's 75 cents, I'm done. Count me out. I'm out of here. 35 cents, not happening. And I still use my fingers to count a lot. So that's fun fact there, but it has, and it does. And I'm still working on just doing it more often, weekly versus monthly. Even now is my next step. I'm pretty proud of how I've kind of overcome that imbalance and learned to reinvest my money and not make I made some stupid choices as a college student with money and the credit cards, but I'm no longer in that space of okay, wait, no, actually, if I reinvest and learning from others too, how to appropriately invest my money and my time as well too. So it's still there. I'm working through the anxiety, but it's getting much better.
You will always be on that path. I promise you, everyone. That trauma, if you call it trauma from your childhood, those money memories, they're part of you. You just have to work through them. You'll never get ahead of them. And I've seen it.
Embrace it. Just kind of I can't cut money back with the pizza stand. Okay. Haha. Can't have rummage sale, I guess.
I did talk about full circle again. We didn't get to that part, but from your business, you had started from, the coaching side, running now more of a clinician side.
Yep.
And now you're saying, hey, I kind of want to go back to the coaching. Talk to us about going full circle and why that's so important to you as a person.
Yeah, I just feel getting back into the coaching space, specifically being able to even open up to group coaching, I can help more women. Like my goal from day one has always been, how many women can I help? I have to get the ego out of the way. I can't do this alone. Yes, it's my magic protocol, sauce, tricks, whatever I have in the clinic. But if I have them sign some legal forms, I can teach them. They can do just as good of a job as I can. So I have to kind of like get that ego out of the way too. And what I soon realized, that clinician piece gets to be a little heavy sometimes. What I loved was coaching. I love the Zooms. So when women from all over the world, I get to meet and do more of that. When I'm speaking on a stage in front of hundreds of people, I can help more women that way and get my message across and hopefully help them feel better, faster, sooner than even I had to go through. There's a lot of misconceptions and myths out there that women think about their health. And when I go back into the coaching space and the speaking space and the book and all of that, I'm able to serve more women. I'm like, my crew's got this, not the clinic. And I'm still there a little bit, but I'm ready to be back in that coaching space and just help more women from across the world, just instead of just my backyard.
Absolutely. Well, this last question is to do exactly that. So we always ask, what is one thing, action item, idea, thought, concept, whatever you want to say, that listeners right now can take and instill into their life and help them on their journey?
Yeah, I would say book that appointment. Do it again. I don't care if it's the 8th or 9th time. Do it maybe someone else. Maybe we're going to find somebody else that we're going to see, but put your health priority again, because so many of us have put our communities, our work, our organizations, our kids, our spouses, our we put everything first. Women are notorious for that. And we put our health last until it's detrimental and you're really feeling the physical impact. And by that point, it's pretty deep and a lot of work we got to do to pull you out of that hole. So even if you might be feeling great, it's hey, just make that appointment, get some basic lab, get some basic conversations going again around your health and make sure things are on point. Maybe you could optimize your health even. Maybe you are good, but you could do better in anti-aging. I'm really getting our clinic into anti-aging medicine and all of that. But just put yourself first again in your health aspect and know that you're worthy of that, because we often feel that selfish or I'm not that bad, so it doesn't matter. And that's just not the case. If you don't feel good, if you have any concerns, even if it's one thing, I'm begging women to please go and have that checked out or just have a conversation or just go to your yearly wellness exam and just use that as some time to talk about basic health preventative instead of being reactive, do some preventative stuff again too.
I love it. Just said it. Set that appointment. Who cares if the 8th or 9th one?
Yep. Take it.
So comment, share. Not because the algorithm. We really don't care about that, but we want to help you. And the only way we can help you is if you reach out. So absolutely. Whether you're needing help on either side, reach out to either one of us. We will gladly connect. As well as let us know what you're wanting to know so we can create more content. I'm sure if you have that question, there's a million others out there that have that same question. And we're very spicy, as you like to put it, Tara. We're spicy in our content. We love to say what we want to say, and we're going to be that voice for you. So please do that. That's the only ask I have for our listeners as we go. But thank you. Appreciate you coming on. Everyone, get the book. It'll be in the description. Follow her back on our social media on TikTok because those are coming out soon. At least I'm pushing that. So
yeah,
we'll be back at it soon. And I appreciate your time and truly everything that you do. You're amazing. I look forward to many more conversations down the road.
Thank you.